Hey everybody, this is Lee, and we have a little message before today's episode. So we here at Uncle Bob's pre-record all of our episodes. So today's, the one you're about to listen to, and a few after this one have all been recorded before the murder of George Floyd and before the protests and events that followed. So we need to take a moment to address this. The Uncle Bob's team and the Hedge Apothecary team stand with the Black Lives Matter movement. We stand with people of color, and we stand with all of those who fight for justice and equality. Racism and hate have absolutely no place here and will not be tolerated. We are donating our time and resources as much as possible and are using our platforms to help amplify this message in any way that we can, and we always will. We encourage you all to listen, to educate yourselves, to stand up for what is right even when it is uncomfortable, to donate and protest if you are able to use your platforms to speak out. Do not become complacent and do not be neutral. If you are looking for resources, we will be posting anything we find on our social media pages, including organizations and bail funds you can donate to, books you can read, accounts to follow, protesting tips, Black businesses you can support, anything we can find. We are also working on bringing guests on to Uncle Bob's who are people of color to join us in a conversation about these issues and to help amplify their voices. We will not be silent, and we hope you are doing the same. We love you. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and also happy Pride Month, everyone. Welcome to Uncle Bob's Magic Cabinet, a mother-daughter podcast on all things magic and pop culture.
We're on.
And we're on.
Ooh, good. Did you like that? You were on key.
Was I? I doubt it.
Me.
Y'all, this one time, okay, story time. We lived in
First
this house.
Lee.
Oh yeah, I'm Lee, I'm the daughter.
And I'm Lori, I'm the mom.
Yeah, okay, so story
she
time.
was like, she's going right in there. She's not wasting no time.
You started this.
I did.
When
I did.
Okay, so we were living in this house, right? That the shower was in the basement, which is kind of weird, but it was. And the vent was connected to the upstairs bathroom. So one day, my mom was in the bathroom, doing her thing. Getting ready. And I was downstairs taking a shower, and I thought that I was alone.
In the privacy.
I thought I was in the privacy of my own shower. And I was attempting to sing, and I was doing some vocal warm-ups. And it went, me, 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 me. And she heard me through the vent. And she has never let me live it down.
I've probably crushed your hopes of a singing career.
I have none. They're gone.
You're like, now you're very self-conscious. I feel bad about that.
Yeah, thanks.
Bad parenting. Bad parenting.
Yeah. So what's up? How's your week?
It's all good.
It's all good?
It's all good.
It's all good, baby.
Yeah, again, with the weather here in Pennsylvania, holy crap.
Yeah, it's hot. You can hear my dog breathing heavily into the microphone right now.
Mm-hmm. Night stalker.
Even though it's hot, he still insists on
laying on my feet
and being attached to our hips. But, we love it.
Absolutely. Now his face is on my notes. Licking. Yep. It's just me. It's just me.
He loves his grandma. He really does.
Hey, don't call me that.
What, Grams? What do you want to be
About
called?
your,
do you want to be called Glamma?
Glamma?
That's a thing now. Or do you like that?
If it's a thing now, then I don't want to be called Glam.
She's a hipster. She doesn't.
I don't go for those trendy things. Remember when you got me that magnet for Christmas?
What magnet?
To put on the back of my car.
Yeah, that you used to clown on, but now it's proven to be like...
It's the only way since I got my black car that looks like every other black
Yeah,
car.
I got her a magnet that says I love my grand dog. And she's like, I am not putting this on my car. Now it's the only way she finds her car.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
You should
Appreciate
show your
that.
love for him with pride.
I sure do. Yeah.
Because I might not have kids, so this is all you're getting.
You always say that.
I do. I really do.
You're like, I do not want children.
Yeah.
You know, which is hilarious because you have taught
I used to be a
Art.
teacher.
Yeah. and 2 children, and they loved you. You're so good with them.
Yeah, I
You
didn't
are
really care for them. Does that mean?
I mean, you did. Like you're so good with them, but I think it's the stress,
It's very
the
stressful.
anxiety for you.
I can barely take care of myself. You know? I'm just being about know yourself.
Know yourself.
That's like becoming our tagline. Know yourself.
Know yourself, and what will be written on my tombstone, we'll figure it out.
We'll get through this.
We'll figure it out. Don't worry
She
about
always
it.
says that to me. We'll get through this. I said, put it on my tombstone. You know, if I have to hear that one more time.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
What are we talking about this week?
I know what I'm talking about.
I know what I'm talking about. I am super duper excited about it.
I am too. This has to, do you know mine?
No, I don't.
Okay. It has to do with the X-Files, and you know how much I love the X-Files.
I kind of had a hint since you have your X-Files.
A t-shirt
your
on.
X-Files /Menzigers.
Yeah,
Yes,
this is by City Fox Printing. He does some really cool mashup shirts.
After the party. Yeah.
I always try to wear a shirt that has to do with my
yeah.
topic. I'm a total dweeb.
I'm going to be able to copy that next week.
Are you?
Yeah.
Why? What'd you do?
Well, my topic, I have a
Don't tell
t-shirt.
me.
I'm not going to tell you, but I have a t-shirt
secret.
that can definitely tie in.
Oh my God, I'm excited.
Yeah.
We love a theme.
We know that I love themes.
We have established that, but I think you might have passed it off to me a little bit.
I do love a theme. Oh yeah.
Okay, so I'm doing an X-Files episode.
Okay, cool. And I am doing Robert Johnson.
Ooh.
Dude, I fell down
Love
that
it.
rabbit hole. That was the most fun I've had
Couldn't get
researching.
out?
Dude, I put my earbuds in and I listened to Robert Johnson and I researched this topic and I loved it.
Here comes Nanook's every episode. He's just got to
time.
get his kisses in.
And why is it just always me and not you? Why?
He loves his grandma. I told you. He just
Come
really...
on out, bud.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. As long as
Good
you're
boy.
comfy. It's not 900 degrees. Thank you. Oh, hi.
He just really wants to be a part of the party.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll just let him sit here. All right.
So,
There was the Nanook intermission that usually happens. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I am doing. Do you want me to start? Are you ready for this?
ready, girl.
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready for this.
Okay, I am doing season 3, episode 13 of the X-Files, entitled Syzygy.
Syzygy.
Do you know what a Syzygy is?
I don't. But I feel like
You
it.
are about to find.
Whoa. We are going to be serenaded through this entire episode.
I'm feeling
See,
a
I got it
little
right.
singy.
Episode. I have to say that I do not share your love of the X-Files, right?
Okay.
Because I have never watched the X-Files.
That's a
had
lie.
You had me watch.
I sat you down and I said, you will watch this.
And I think I got through the first 2 seasons.
That's
and
it?
That's it.
Okay.
Now,
Me and Jake say all the time that the first season of that is maybe the best.
Really?
Yeah, and usually television shows, you kind of got to skip
Yeah.
past the first season because
Yeah.
they're like trying to figure it out. Not
Yeah.
the X-Files. They knew what they were doing from the jump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's on the list to finish.
You really should.
Yeah.
So the way the X-Files is structured, I think that they paved the way for a lot of shows that you love, like Supernatural. So they
I
had their
love
like
Supernatural.
storyline episodes, like their arc, but then they also had like quote unquote monsters of the week episodes, and that's what I'm going to be diving into.
Oh, cool. I'm excited.
Are you?
Yeah, because I'm going to be learning something.
You really are.
Because
So
I have
when
not seen season 3.
So when I picked this episode, I was excited about it, but when I sat down and watched it and was really paying attention, I was astounded.
Yeah?
Yes. I learned so much
Yeah.
because I was paying attention in a different way.
I felt the absolute same way with my topic.
Did you?
Yes. I
So
was like, I
cool.
thought I knew it all. And I was like, whew, I did not know.
You got schooled.
I got schooled.
Yeah,
Big
so
time.
did I.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I love.
I love to. I love to learn.
I love to learn.
Why
Learning
not?
is good.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Learning is good. As she hand gestures a rainbow.
Yeah. The more you know.
The more you know.
Oh my God. Okay, so season 3, episode 13, Syzygy. And I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Jake is giving me the thumbs up. It is Syzygy.
Syzygy.
Syzygy. And this episode aired in 1996.
Wow. Interesting.
Love the 90s.
Got the 90s on your mind. Yeah.
Okay, so the episode opens with Ryan Reynolds. I put in my notes LOL.
Ryan Reynolds.
Like a young Ryan Reynolds.
Before we were famous.
Yeah, before he was Ryan Reynolds, he was in this. And in fact, the X-Files is loaded with people that before they got famous, like Aaron Paul was in it. Bryan Cranston actually was in it from Breaking
Jesse
Bad.
Pinkman. Yeah.
A ton of people.
Yeah.
I think that Jack Black was in an episode.
He was
nodding.
because that I did see that episode.
Like if you you have to go and watch it, and I feel like it was like a jump starter for a ton of people, and it's so cool to be like, oh my God,
I saw him in the X-Files. Remember, sometimes we'll be watching stuff, and Jake will always be like, I've seen that person somewhere, and I directly go to IMDb and see if they were in an X-Files episode. 9 times out of 10,
almost always are.
Yeah, that is it.
And here's a little 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Aaron Paul, right, who was in Breaking Bad, okay,
who's now in Westworld,
and was in an X-Files episode. You know that the X-Files was written by Vince Gilligan, who wrote Breaking Bad.
I did not know that.
He's a genius. Like me and Jake all the time are like, praise that man.
Yeah,
he has blessed us with so much.
I feel grateful that I actually got to watch Breaking Bad during this quarantine.
I know.
So,
I know. She was fighting us on it, but we're like, nope, you got to watch it. Okay, so let me put my drink down so I can get serious.
Get serious here.
Okay. Opens with Ryan Reynolds.
Okay.
They're at like some type of eulogy. He's a high school student.
Okay.
He gets killed. He gets hung from a rock.
Oh, no.
So sorry if you're a big Ryan Reynolds fan. He does not make it very far in this episode.
It's a short stint.
Correct. This makes him the 3rd death of a teenage boy in the last month in the small county or town of Comedy, New Hampshire, which I don't know if that's a real town.
Comedy.
Comity.
Jake saying fictional.
He is saying that
fictional.
A creative liberty.
Well, I thought Sunnydale was real, so.
Yeah, I don't.
Hey,
it sure isn't. Okay, so throughout the whole episode, these 2 girls are kind of at the helm of this episode, and their names are Terry and Margie. Mm-hmm. Okay, they're best friends. They kind of look alike. Okay, they're kind of like, they say the same things. They're like the exact same person.
Okay.
They're best friends.
BFFs.
Mm-hmm. They were with Ryan Reynolds, which I don't know what his character's name was. Da Boom or something.
Okay.
I'm just going to call him Ryan Reynolds. They were with him
RR.
the night he got killed. And they say that a satanic cult took them all to a black mass where they sacrificed a baby, drank blood, etc., etc., and killed him. Okay. And they ran off in a terror. Okay? So the whole town is in a satanic panic, which we have talked about before.
Satanic panic.
They think that it's, a satanic cult. Yeah. They're going after, the whole church group is like, we can't let our kids be taken by the cult.
Right.
Okay. So interesting enough. So like I said, this is with high school kids. Their school's mascot is a 2-horned goat. Loved that little nod. Loved it. Okay, so Ryan Reynolds' funeral is when Mulder and Scully come in. If you've never watched The X-Files, you're breaking my heart, but please go watch it. Mulder and Scully, best characters in TV.
You could also tell your Mitch Pileggi story.
Oh my God. I met Walter Skinner. If you've watched The X-Files, he's a character in there, and I totally froze, and he asked me how old I was, and I was like, I don't know. Because I got so excited. What's your name? I don't know. I get starstruck a little bit.
That's funny.
It's fine. Okay, so Mulder and Scully. If you don't know what the X-Files is about, Mulder and Scully are FBI agents who go and investigate unexplained files, right? Which are called the X-Files. They're unexplained events. So like aliens or cults in this case.
Boogeyman.
The boogeyman, right. They're at Ryan Reynolds' funeral investigating. Ryan Reynolds' casket catches on fire. Okay, and a horned goat is burned into his chest in his dead body. Okay. The two girls are there.
And he probably still looks good.
Oh,
right?
I don't know. He was like really young at the time. He doesn't even really look like Ryan Reynolds in this episode.
He does not look like Ryan Reynolds.
Jake was like, who is that? And I was like, I think it's Ryan Reynolds. We had to Google it.
Wow.
Yeah. So even just for that, go and watch this because it's fun.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so Hornby's burned into his chest, which here's where it gets cool. This takes Mulder to an astrology reader. Okay.
Love it.
So the sign is super cool, which I kind of like, I don't know, want to mock it.
Oh, yeah.
Like it has the astrology wheel, astrology readings. Okay. So he goes to her to ask her about this symbol burned in Ryan Reynolds' chest. And she tells him that the whole town is going crazy.
Right.
Because there is a weird planetary alignment where Mercury, Mars, and Uranus are extreme influences.
Uranus. I could not help myself.
You know what?
You know, people were thinking about it.
I'm not even going to lie. Every time I wrote it in my notes, I was like,
Of course. You cannot help it.
Uranus. Oh, my God. Okay. So the whole town, like she said, is going crazy. Even so, at this point, this is season 3, you know Mulder and Scully. Scully is the very grounded character. She's the scientist, the doctor.
The skeptic.
She
wants the proof.
In this episode, she's like totally bratty and jealous, and she's smoking. And it is the first episode, and maybe the only episode where you ever see her smoke. Like, she's acting odd. And Mulder is like really randy. Okay.
Randy.
He's a little turned on more than usual, and he's like hitting on people. And so you get the sense that like something is weird because they're acting out of character. Okay. So it seems like in every event, so more people die, and it seems like these two girls, Terry and Margie, are always present.
Interesting.
Okay. Throughout the episode, the more you see them, the more their hair gets bigger. Like, you know how in Witchboard we were talking when she gets
the
possessed?
80s hair.
Yeah, so they start to get like crazy hair and they start to dress all in black. Hilarious.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I love when they do that.
Right.
Like,
That's
something must be wrong. They're wearing black.
90s special effects. Just wear black and tease your hair.
Tease your hair to yeah, we'll be good. Oh my God. So it turns out that Terry and Margie are born on the exact same day at the exact same time.
Oh, wow.
You see where we're going. Okay, so they have a birthday party together where they're doing all kind of cool, like, quintessential, like, witchy things. They're playing with the Ouija board and they're doing Bloody Mary in the bathroom. Okay, super cool.
Does Bloody Mary make an appearance?
Well, some girl dies because she gets hit with glass from a mirror. So,
interesting.
Right. So weird stuff is still happening. So Mulder goes back to the astrologer. And she says, and I have to write this exact quote because it's very specific. Okay. Once every 84 years, Mercury, Mars, and Uranus come into conjunction. Only this year, Uranus is in Aquarius, which means disaster lies in wait. Are you giggling at Uranus still?
Because you're an Aquarius.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, I am still
She
giggling
says
about
that this is ultra important where they live because, are you ready for this? They live in a quote-unquote cosmic G-spot. New band name called it. Cosmic G-spot. Where the energy, like, it just kind of seems to centralize in this area and stuff goes crazy in this area. Okay. She says, so Mulder says, well, what if this date where all of these planets are aligning was your birthday? And she said, well, I would tell you happy birthday unless you were born on this day in 1979. Because that would mean that Jupiter and Uranus are in opposition and all of the cosmic energy in the world would be focused on you.
Let me guess. These two gals.
These two gals were born in 1979. So she says that the reason that all of the cosmic energy would be focused on you if you were born on this day in 1979 would be because in your chart there would be a grand square, okay, where all planets align into a cross.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. Everything gets crazy in the episode. It all stops at midnight when their birthday is over. Go watch the episode if you want specifics. It's definitely worth it. I wanted to investigate what is true about this stuff.
Oh, love it.
Okay.
Love it. Sleuthy.
Sleuthy. Yes, I like it. I'm playing the molder in this episode.
Are you?
Yes.
Yeah. You
Okay.
always play the molder.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love them. Okay. A syzygy, which is the name of the episode, refers to an alignment of at least 3 celestial objects. So in this case, Mercury, Mars, and Uranus.
Okay.
So that is true.
Cool.
Okay. If you look at what these planets mean in a birth chart, or what they represent, Mercury, what you think, Mars, how you act, Uranus, revolt. Okay?
Yes.
So it kind of lines up if you watch the episode. These girls are like killing people and going crazy. They're not doing it on purpose. Okay, but they're kind of like,
It's the planetary alignment.
it's the planetary alignment.
They're not in control.
So I looked up Grand Cross
Okay.
because as much as we do astrology and we do charts for people, I have never come across, and I was like, is this like a real thing? It is. It is a real thing. It is known as a grand square or a grand cross.
I've heard of Southern Cross. That's
Have you?
It's Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.
Oh, okay.
Okay. You're like, really?
I'm like, where have you heard of this? I was like, what is that? I was so excited. You tricked me. Okay, a grand square or a grand cross appears when 4 planets are 90 degrees apart from each other, forming a square.
Okay.
Okay, so like if you see the circle, it forms a square. When you intersect them, it forms a cross. Okay.
And 4 squares.
Well, no, 1 square. So imagine a planet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's what you're saying.
And then when you, obviously, if you draw a line from the middle of,
Yeah.
it will form a cross.
Yeah. But within that cross are 4 squares.
Oh my God, I hate you. Yes.
Okay. That holds no meaning. Go.
I was going to say, get out of here with your math or whatever this is. I literally had to write this down so specifically because I'm like, I feel like there's math involved and I don't want to mess it up because I am not good with numbers. Okay. And this is completely true. When a grand cross appears or a grand square, this represents something intense. Like this is very rare. It does not pop up in charts often.
Interesting.
If you see this in your chart, it means that you are going to be constantly pulled in different directions.
You have that in your chart?
I do not. I hate you. You know what? Don't attack me.
You're like, really?
But someone that we all know that has a grand square in their chart is Steve Jobs. Interesting. Because he was brilliant, but had a little bit of a problem there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, that's cool.
Right. And here is why it is so intense.
Okay.
Each planet will be in the same quadruplicity. So either cardinal, fixed, or mutable. Cardinal signs are Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn. Fixed are Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, Scorpio. Mutable are Virgo, Pisces, Gemini, Sagittarius. So if you have one of these, that means that the square will consist of all of the same quadruplicity, which means that all 4 elements will be represented in this square. Okay?
Yeah.
Which is incredibly rare.
Wow. So did you pull up anybody else other than Steve Jobs? That's how rare this is?
I believe I saw, and Jennifer Lawrence also has a square. A grand square in her. I know.
I don't know about that.
I promise you I read that and I was like not as intrigued, but I also don't know a lot about her.
Yeah.
But Steve Jobs, and those were the only 2 that I saw. Like, I mean, this is very rare and intense. So I was fascinated that hey, they must have done their research for this episode because this actually would have been.
Yeah. Like, who thinks of that?
Right.
Right.
I, as much as we know about astrology and stuff, have never heard of a syzygy.
No, me neither.
Right. So this will cause extreme tension in your life and you are more prone to having difficulties or facing challenges.
Interesting.
Also, when Uranus is in Aquarius, like she said, that's what made this event extra crazy.
Amped it up a little.
Uranus rules Aquarius. And it is like a time for uber change. Like stuff's just going wild. So that is true.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Fact checked. Correct. Correct. And Syzygies in history have been known to imply war and conflict.
Interesting.
And we tried to look to see like when the last one was, and it was in like the 1800s of this kind. I know,
crazy.
Isn't it? I was literally like, I thought I was just going to be talking about a cool episode where they mentioned astrology, and I was like, dang, they really...
Yeah, like how do you get a gig like that?
Right. Like they had to have someone on board.
When you go to your guidance counselor in high school and you say, what do you want to be when you grow up? I would like to fact check for episodes of television shows.
Right.
Do you go to school for
fascinating?
That? No.
Like they actually, so there is only one. So throughout the episode, they flash to the sky and it's a full moon and you can see the 3 planets that they're talking about. And someone debunked that, like, if there was a full moon, you wouldn't be able to see all of the planets.
Right. Yeah.
That was the only debunk.
Yeah.
The rest of it, like, obviously it's blown out of proportion for a TV show, but there's actually a quote by Mulder that I want to read. Because, I mean, I believe in, like, planetary alignments and that it can have, like, look at the, you know, huge phenomenon of, like, Mercury retrograde. Like, everyone is on board that, like, when Mercury is in retrograde, retrograde, Gatorade. I can't talk.
I cannot verbalize.
That, like, stuff goes a little crazy, right? So, like, why... I think that it's very interesting that they took this and used a planetary alignment to like
create an entire episode.
Right. So like in this episode, when these 2 girls were in the same room, that's when stuff started going bonkers because they were born on the same date, the same time. And then there was this planetary alignment and stuff was just going wacky.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
That's insane.
I know.
I love it.
Okay, let me read this quote.
So what was the significance of the goat burned into Ryan Reynolds' chest?
I think that it was just, so the girls made that happen.
Oh.
So like everything that happened through the episode, it was because the girls were in the same room during this planetary alignment.
Okay.
And they were kind of making stuff happen, but not on purpose. At least it was implied that they didn't know they were doing this stuff.
They weren't cognizant of it.
But like in one part, they like this guy and he doesn't pay any attention to them. So they accidentally crush him in the bleachers. But I don't think they know that they're doing it. They just think something and it happens.
Okay.
Because of this weird energy shift.
Cosmic energy.
Right. So at the end, this is what Mulder says. Okay. And I think that it is so cool.
Words to live by.
Always. Okay, we are but visitors on this rock, hurling through time and space at 66,000 miles an hour, tethered to a burning sphere by an invisible force in an unfathomable universe. This most of us take for granted while refusing to believe these forces have any more effect on us than a butterfly beating its wings halfway around the world. Isn't that cool?
You got me, Fox Mulder. You got me.
You got me good. You got me in the heart.
Right in the heart.
But I think that that's super cool. Like, why is it so weird to believe that, you know, like you have people that don't believe in astrology or don't believe that, you know, the planets have any effect, but why not?
Yeah. Well, you know that we have definitely have spent years in the Renaissance circuit.
Right.
And you know, when you do the history of the kings, there was always an astrologer on their court.
I know.
So, and they would take their guidance on,
very seriously.
They would take the guidance of the astrologers. Well, and now I can't talk. The guidance of the astrologers and make, you know, important decisions based on those things.
I mean, I'm not going to speak to specifics because I don't, you know, I would need fact checked, but I have read that during this pandemic that there's some weird planetary alignment that people were like, yo, something's going to happen during this time, like upheaval.
I think it's in Capricorn.
Yeah, but it was like multiple things. Like this planet was here and this planet was here and like the last time this happened, something.
Yes, I've also heard that.
So, and then, you know, when the planets align like that again, when this pandemic happened.
I have heard, I've heard that.
I find that fascinating.
Yeah. Like when I talked to my friend, he was totally prepared. He knew all this was coming.
Weird.
Yeah, he's way deep into astrology, and he's like uber brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you, The X-Files, for honestly teaching me something. Like, I did not know about that until I sat down to watch that episode and, like, fact-checked it. I was like, dang.
That's completely awesome.
Vince Gilligan, you're the man.
Damn.
Go watch The X-Files. That's mic drop.
Enough said.
Boom. How do you feel about that? I thought you would kind of be into that.
I really liked it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Season 3. Haven't got there yet.
You're going to need to get there.
I know.
Yeah, it's good.
I know. I feel like that's a good binge watch when you're like not
a great
feeling
binge
well.
watch.
Like, you know, when you're like, where's my chicken soup and my Kleenex? And let me just watch the X-Files. That's what I feel like.
It really is.
Is a really good one for that.
I agree.
Because you can kind of doze in and out, but still.
Well, yeah, because they have the Monster of the Week episode. I mean, it's very much like, number one, if you're a female, you need to watch that show because Dana Scully, in my opinion, is like the best female role model. Like, if you have kids, make them watch that show and make them watch Dana Scully.
Yeah.
And also, Fox Mulder is someone that just believes with his whole heart that like anything is possible. And like that is such a good outlook to have. I really think that show is important for people to watch. I could talk about it for hours.
You do love David Duchovny.
I do.
Yeah.
I love the whole show. I love the cast. I think, you know, they have the Monster of the Week episodes where they're just fun, very much like Supernatural. Like, it really did pave the way for so many things.
Yeah.
And then they have like the overall story arc. But yeah, you could pop in and out and just have some fun watching it if you wanted to.
I think, love it.
I think everyone needs to go and watch it.
Love it.
I feel like the drunk girl in the bathroom.
Watch it.
Please watch The X-Files.
Jeez. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Wonderful.
And scene.
Cut and scene. And my turn?
It's your turn.
Is it?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm going to rock your world. So,
oh my God, I'm so excited.
When we first decided we were going to do this, I knew at the top of my list was Robert Johnson because there is just so
creepy
much. Yeah, exactly. And I thought, well, this is going to be short because, you know, there's not much on him except for this crossroads.
That's what
myth.
I always thought.
Right. And I thought, well, I know pretty much everything. I'm just going to, and dude, I was
incorrect.
Schooled.
Really?
I was
schooled. Oh my God. Teach me your ways.
So the crossroads myth and Robert Johnson himself is one of the most potent mythologies of popular music in the last century. Okay. So he was born May 8th, 1911.
Dang. Okay.
In Mississippi.
Ooh.
Right.
Okay.
And he is only one generation removed from slavery. So you got to wrap your mind around that.
Wow.
You got to wrap your mind around that.
1911. That's it?
Right. And he died August 16th, 1938. He was only
young.
And I thought that I was the originator because when he died, he was 27. And so in my notes, I wrote, he is the original member of the 27 Club.
No crap.
And then I watched a couple documentaries on him just to, you know, and somebody said he's the original member of the 27 Club. And I was like, darn.
Random fun fact, I turned 27 this year, and my lovely husband decorated my presents with pictures of the 27 Club members. And some people might think that that's morbid. I loved it, and I cried because I thought that was so sweet.
Robert Johnson was not on there.
No, because I had no idea.
But
I don't
Amy
think he knew.
Winehouse and Kurt Cobain and
Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin,
Jim Morrison.
Yeah.
The old 27 Club. So Robert Johnson, a Ridge, OG.
Super cool.
Isn't that
Love
awesome?
that.
Right. So I did watch a couple documentaries if anybody wants to check them out called Can You Hear the Wind Howl, which is the life and music of Robert Johnson.
Okay.
And also The Devil in the Crossroads, which was just remastered 2019.
Okay.
Yeah. And both of them super good.
Okay. And that book that I mentioned a few podcasts ago, which I did find out the name is called Take a Walk on the Dark Side. It's like the history of rock and roll. I know they mention Robert Johnson.
Robert Johnson.
Yeah.
All right. So he is considered the king of the Mississippi Delta blues. Okay. And he is considered the very first rock star. Did you know that?
The very first rock star?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm clutching my pearls.
Okay. So he has influenced so many artists.
Yeah.
Clapton, Muddy Waters, Keith Richards, Led Zeppelin, Bob Dylan. Like, it is endless. How
All
his
of rock and roll.
music has, influenced rock and roll. He, at 19, fell in love and got married to, his bride was 16.
Oh,
And he agreed that he would give up his vision of being a musician. So one of the things that gets, that plays into his myth is that he played the devil's music. So the blues were considered the devil's music. And so I had to look up because, I like blues.
Any good music is considered the devil's music.
Well, that's,
Let's be real.
and then blues kind of transcends into rock and roll. So I like blues, but I know there's many different kinds. So I was like, well, what exactly is the Mississippi Delta blues? So I had to look that up. Do you know?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Teach me.
Okay. I'm going to school you. It is one of the earliest styles of blues.
Okay.
Originating around the Mississippi Delta, and it is dominated by the slide guitar and the harmonica.
Oh.
This comes into play with Robert Johnson.
Okay.
It is usually with passionate vocals and deeply personal lyrics.
So
that is what,
like the root of blues.
Right. So that's what. So it's considered like the blues,
the core of the blues.
core of the blues.
Okay.
And so he was considered the king, but it was considered the devil's music. So when he gets married and he's expecting his first child, right, and he agrees that he's going to give up the devil's music and
Shame.
He's going to live a respectable life.
That's boring, Robert Johnson.
Oh, Robert Johnson. So what happens is his bride goes to stay with her parents. He puts his guitar away. His bride goes to stay with her parents to have the baby, and he's going to meet her there. I guess back in those days, that's how it was done. I don't know.
Odd, but okay.
So he decides that what she doesn't know won't hurt her, and he takes his guitar out, and on his way to get there, he stops at his favorite juke joints and he plays he plays a little music.
Okay.
Just to, and when
wet his whistle.
Okay. Yeah. And, he's not going to tell her, but he gets there.
Secrets.
He gets there and she died during childbirth, and so did the child, and she was already buried.
That's true.
That's true.
Well, that's devastating.
Isn't that devastating? And so a lot of people say that this maybe was his real crossroads, because at that point he decides, I'm going to devote my life to music.
Wow. Right? Well, that's sad.
Yeah. So
he shouldn't have had to choose.
He shouldn't, but look at, again,
different time.
I mean, it's still relevant today in this time period to follow your dreams or 100%. Be respectable, as we both know. And also, so imagine back in that time period. So he played both the harmonica and the guitar.
Okay.
Guitar.
I did know that.
Okay. He started out, he'd put 3 nails in the side of the house with some wire and a bottle, and that's how he...
Yeah, we were just watching that documentary, Standing in the Shadows of Motown, and they showed that.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's not like you could go out and buy yourself a, guitar.
You had to make do with what you had, man.
Yeah, so...
These kids today don't know how good they have it.
I know. I walked 10 miles to school in the snow up to my ankles. I heard that from my dad all the time. So, but he was considered, accounts vary, but he was considered so he would go into the juke joints and he would want to listen to all the blues guys playing, and he wanted to play. And he was considered a laughingstock on the guitar. He could play the harmonica okay, but his guitar playing was considered horrendous.
Oh.
And they told him,
didn't he have a hard enough time already?
I know. They said, get out of here. Don't come back. Like, you can't, And so he disappeared. Okay. He left and he kind of disappeared. I've seen varying accounts saying 6 months. I've seen a year.
Okay.
So this is where the Faustian deal comes in, right? So, and we talk about this a lot. So I thought, well, maybe I should clarify. Do you know
I do,
Faustian. Okay. So a Faustian deal is when you make a pact with the devil and sell your soul for personal gain.
Right.
You know, or riches or whatever it is you want. So
that old, you know.
Yeah, but that
tale.
actually comes from a 16th century German legend. He was a scientist called Dr. Faustus.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he was a real person. And a lot of times in the 1800s, they had a play. It was called Faust, a Tragedy. And I believe, I have not gone back to watch it. Yeah, because like in Tombstone, remember Billy Zane? I think they're doing Faust.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it was like a popular play, you know? So that's where that comes from. But there is a longstanding folk tradition in the South that talks of a blues man going to the crossroads.
Like this is before even this?
Yeah, but like he didn't start this, but it was like a folk. It was like an old folk myth that a blues man would go to the crossroads.
Okay, because see, I know him as that blues man.
Right.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and I think so that fed the rumors. Right. And so that a blues man waiting by the side of the road at the crossroads for Satan himself, and he would basically hand Satan his guitar. Satan would tune it and hand it back and say, you know, if you take this, the deal is done. And so apparently that is what happened, or what people think happened
when he
with
disappeared.
Robert Johnson, because like I said, he disappeared.
Yeah.
And when he came back, he was
fire at the
on
guitar.
fire.
On fire.
And like the documentaries I watched where it was people that were, you know, still alive and knew him. It was funny because there's so little known about him.
That's what I thought.
That I was like, he must have lived
like there's
back
like
in.
one picture of him.
There are two known photos of him.
Oh my God.
And a third popped itself up, and it was authenticated by his estate by a forensic artist, but it has been debunked. Something with the clothing or something could not have
been around at that time.
At that time period. So only two known photos.
I love forensic stuff like that.
Film, no
like recordings.
No, I mean there are recordings, but there's no film. Like he's not on
like video.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
video predated. You know, whatever was before that.
Winding the crank.
Exactly. No footage. Okay.
Gotcha.
So no 8mm footage.
No home videos of Robert Johnson as a baby playing the guitar.
Exactly.
Noted.
Exactly right. So basically he comes back, and so these people are saying, you know, they've been practicing their craft for like 25 years, and they're saying there's no way that if he was gone for 6 months to a year, that he became that good.
Couldn't he have just practiced?
After being that, well, exactly. They're saying not even with practice. There's no way.
God, was he that bad? Way to drag him.
So, well, that brings into play, there's a lot of stories about his birth and his father and his, you know, so a lot of people are saying that when he went, when he disappeared, he went back to his hometown looking for his birth father.
Okay.
And he stumbled across this guy named Ike Zimmerman, who was well known for his great guitar playing.
Okay.
And so Ike took him under his wing and taught him the blues. But they're still saying that even if that was the case, he would not be as good as he was.
Okay.
But the funny thing is that he and Ike would go out to the cemetery and play. They would sit on the tombstones and play. And the reason Ike told him that no matter how bad he was, ain't nobody going to care out there. So, and there was a myth that if you went out and sat on the tombstones and played at midnight, the ghosts and spirits would come out and help you learn the blues.
Love that.
So that, again, only further
fueled
the myth, right? Yeah. Fueled the myth. Okay. So he comes back and he's like a genius, right?
Right.
And they say that he's like very intelligent and that he's like a walking jukebox. So he not only plays the blues because he's trying to make money and he wants to be a rock star.
Okay.
But he can literally hear a song on the radio and then he can play it. But he was never formally taught music.
Well, like he sucked music 2 seconds ago.
Yeah, right. So what the heck happened?
Okay.
Right? he met another woman as well, and he married, and then she was pregnant, but her parents
Did she die?
refused. She didn't die, but would not allow him. They were, very religious and said he played the devil's music. And so kind of would not allow him.
Downers.
Yeah. And at that point, he kind of gave into the stereotype. He used that stigma of him making a deal with the devil. He used it to his advantage.
Okay.
And a lot of his songs...
a marketer.
Right. Crossroad Blues.
Oh, he knew what he was doing.
The Devil Blues. Hellhounds on My Trail. Right? So that only further increased the mystery.
Wow.
And it said...
Smart.
Yeah. And one of the things that I read was that because of his early death, the content of his songs, his life is shrouded in mystery. It only has continued to make that whole legend grow. And the fact that his music is sprinkled with a lot of hoodoo. A lot of hoodoo magic.
Yeah.
Mojo bags and, all that kind of stuff. Herbs and so, so he ends up in, I can't remember where, the town, but he ends up recording 29 songs in less than a year.
Is that a lot?
I think at that time period.
Oh, really?
Yes, it is. And that is his complete works.
Today you have rappers spitting out like
every other day.
300 songs.
Well, think of the time period.
Right.
And think of
exactly what it took to get recorded and okay.
Right. And, in no more
than he was
a year.
Boss.
He was a boss. 29 songs. That's all we have of Robert Johnson.
That's it.
Only 29 songs. And
what would have been cool?
What?
If it was 27.
Oh, 27 songs. Hey, let's just knock 2 off.
But
he played, he sung, and he wrote all of those 29 songs.
Nice.
I applaud that.
100%.
I applaud that. I absolutely am in love with musicians that do it all. Play,
agree.
write, sing. I think it's important.
Like my husband.
It's so awesome. But
it is an attractive quality.
It is. But also, he didn't want anybody to see him playing, and he would turn his back.
Did they mention that in one of the shows?
Maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. They did.
Because or maybe it was in that book, but I have heard that before.
Yeah. Well, and they said that.
Why?
Well, he didn't want anybody stealing his moves. And they said it was almost like his guitar. He played his guitar like a piano. And that he had these really long, slender fingers. And it allowed him to do things that most people could never imagine doing.
Kind of
creepy,
what I mean?
But yeah, right?
Slender fingers is a term that kind of creeps me out for some
Slender
reason.
fingers. Like your favorite word, moist.
Why you got to do that? Why you got to bring it up?
Oh my gosh. So there are several accounts of his death, right? And what happened. And after his 2 failed, marriages or, that
didn't have
tragedy,
great luck there.
He was quite the womanizer. So he is playing in a juke joint.
What's a juke joint? You keep saying that.
A juke joint is where they would go
a
to
music
play.
Joint. Okay.
Yeah. Juke.
I've never heard that term. I know what a juke,
Juke,
like a jukebox is.
like a jukebox, a juke joint.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so instead of
tight.
Yeah, exactly. So he's quite the womanizer, and he's playing in a juke joint near Greenwood, Mississippi. And it's attached to a store called Three Forks. And Three Forks, not 2 spoons.
Not the best name, but okay.
Yeah, Three Forks, and he's having a little tryst with the owner's wife.
Oh,
no.
Boom, chicka, boom, wow.
Boom, chicka, boom. Yeah, and it doesn't end up well for Mr. Johnson. And a lot of his friends that knew him that were interviewed said, his ego kind of came into play where he was a little cocky.
That stinks.
And,
nobody got time for that.
So apparently he's at the bar playing his tunes and he asks for not a glass of whiskey, but he wants a bottle. And so when he's handed the bottle, the seal is broken.
Okay.
And somebody said, knocked it out of his hand and said, "Don't ever drink from, a bottle where the seal's been broken open."
Seems
and he
like
said,
common
"Don't
sense.
you ever slap a $7 bottle of whiskey out of my hand again."
$7. $7. Oh my God.
That was probably big money back in those days.
$7.
And it was probably like, probably not good whiskey.
$7.
Oh.
Dang, what do you pay now? Like $50?
Pay $7 for one drink, I think.
One little sip, one little swig.
I mean, there's like bottles of whiskey out there. They're like hundreds of dollars, right?
I mean, that is way above my pay grade, but Jake is shaking his head yes.
He's
so,
like, yes.
Yikes.
Yeah. And so he drinks the whiskey and he becomes violently ill. Okay.
Well,
so,
someone warned you, dog.
He was writhing in pain for like 3 days before he died.
So someone poisoned him.
And they said it was like he was on all fours howling they said a terrible way to go. But there's been differing, ideas of how that happened. One was saying his pact with the devil. The other was saying, he was poisoned. And they were saying that they dissolved mothballs into the whiskey, which made him terribly sick.
Okay.
The death certificate, which wasn't drudged up for like 30 years, said that he was born with congenital syphilis, and that led to it, but I don't know about that. Okay. So there's many different things. One of the other interesting things is that he has 3 different headstones.
What?
Yep. One was erected by Sony Music.
Erected?
One was erected and paid for by the boys of ZZ Top.
What?
Yeah. They must have really liked Robert Johnson. But in 2000, an 85-year-old woman named Rosie Eskridge comes out and she reveals that her husband had actually buried Robert and gave the location. So there's a 3rd headstone there. Right?
Did someone exhume?
No, I don't think so. There's just three different headstones. So, even in his death, there's mystery shrouded. But, it's an actual tourist attraction.
What?
Yeah.
Where?
It's at the intersection of Highway 49 and 61
so
in
like
Clarksville,
the crossroads.
Mississippi.
This is supposedly where he sold his soul.
That's correct. And
cool. Let's go.
Along with the Bell Witch Farm.
Let's pack our bags.
We're packing our bags. Trip. That is on my list.
Fun.
Right. So to round this out, I had to bring up the 1986 movie Crossroads with Mr. Ralph Macchio.
Ralph Macchio? I've never seen it.
And Jamie Gertz.
Is it good?
I have not seen it for a really long time.
Shame on you.
Ralph Macchio was in his heyday. He had his,
Stay cool.
Stay gold pony boy. He had his mullet going on, and it was this cool 80s slick back hair, and
right.
But my favorite, of course, because I love Supernatural.
I knew you were going to bring it up.
Is the 2006 episode, season 2, episode 8 of Supernatural called Crossroad Blues.
Cool. And
when the character goes to the Crossroads, they're actually playing Robert Johnson's tune called Crossroad Blues. It's named after his song. It's the only known recording of it. Like, it's the only known recording is what they were playing.
Cool.
I find it interesting because this, in the series of Supernatural, is where you are introduced to hellhounds.
Yeah.
And the Crossroad Demons that play. That
was mentioned.
That are like, this is the first time it was mentioned in this episode.
So I wonder if they were inspired by
I would think. And then they continue to be characters.
Wow.
Like, relevant characters throughout the seasons. So, and we're not even going to get into, because it's going to be a completely different podcast episode where I talk about different plants in the Supernatural, because when they go to the Crossroads, there's some yarrow growing there.
Let me guess, it's not yarrow.
Well, I've done the research.
She's going to investigate.
I'm investigating that, because I found some info. But so that is the story of Robert Johnson.
Wow.
What do you think about that?
I had no idea there was that much information available about him. I thought that there were like 1 or 2 pictures and the lore of him selling his soul, but I didn't know that there was like documentation of like that's cool.
And so there's all of these. I mean, people go back and forth, and really, what's the word I'm looking for? This myth has just continued
grown and grown.
to grow him, but also, it's like you don't want to take away from the extreme talent this guy had and what he contributed to music, which is,
I think it's interesting because I think that for people my age, like, I don't think that I would have ever heard his music had I not heard that lore. Mm-hmm. So I think that it's interesting because it's kind of keeping him and his music alive.
Yeah. The sad thing about it is there was a producer, he was putting on a show at Carnegie Hall, and it was about spiritualist blues or whatever, and he wanted Robert Johnson, and nobody even knew he was dead.
What?
Yeah, nobody even knew he was dead. He sent a scout out to find him, to bring him to Carnegie Hall, and he had been dead, like he had died. And so when they opened the show, they had an empty chair and played one of his recordings. And somebody didn't dig up nobody was really aware of him. Really, Muddy Waters brought him out into the forefront. It was like 30 years after he died till somebody actually went and looked for his death certificate. So it wasn't like he continued to grow. You know what I mean?
Right,
and really, Brian Jones from the Rolling Stones is definitely tapped into Muddy Waters.
I think
that's their name.
I was going to say their name came from a Muddy Waters
song.
And
then the influence of Robert Johnson on Muddy Waters and that whole...
How it trickles down.
Yeah, like Brian Jones loved Robert Johnson. There's a song that Led Zeppelin does that's a nod to Robert Johnson. So there's just so many people that have been influenced by him. Like I said, I put my earbuds in. I jammed to some Robert Johnson while I was doing the research, and I freaking loved it.
Wow. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I've never done that.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of excited to go and do that.
Yeah.
And we urge you to do the same.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Awesome. That was an awesome...
Thank you for that. Because I'm, you know me, I'm a big rock and roll is probably my favorite. I love rock and roll.
Yeah.
And I had no idea. Like, I knew that he had influenced a lot of people, but I didn't know that. I thought the lore was kind of, I don't want to say baseless, but kind of just like, oh, it's just...
Yeah, made
this,
up. But just think how hard it would have been to... because the organic reach of people back in those days, there was no social media, no Instagram, no phones, no, like I said, they sent a scout out to Mississippi looking for him.
And he was already dead.
And he was already gone.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So he really didn't see his fame.
But that's always interesting with people who pass away like that. I mean, this is just a thought I'm having. Isn't it kind of their dream to like... That is their dream, is to like live forever. Yeah.
Wow. And he sure did.
Right.
And one thing I forgot to mention, he was one of the first 5 people to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1986.
Really?
Yep. One of the first 5.
I mean, it seems like he deserved it.
Absolutely. But
wow, cool.
Right?
Super cool.
I love it.
Wow, way to go.
I really enjoyed that one.
I did too.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a wrap. Woo! All right. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. All right, guys, go watch some X-Files and go listen to some Robert Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. TTFN.
All right. Cut, print, check, gate. Moving on.